where in Connecticut, they decoupled themselves from California's brutal emissions standards requirements. Rhode Island, we believe, needs to do the same, as we discussed with Chris Hurd. We're going to talk about that in just a moment with Chris Maxwell, but I want to welcome him first to our show. Chris Maxwell, president of the Rhode Island Trucking Association. Welcome back to In the Dugout.
Thank you, Mike. As always, good to be with you. Appreciate the opportunity.
So in November, on the 27th to be exact, there was the story about Connecticut withdrawing from the California requirements. And as we've discussed, Rhode Island has to follow right now the same California requirements that would basically ban the sale of any vehicle run on internal combustion or gasoline engines. Following that November 27th story, your national organization, the American Trucking Association, put out this statement, and I'll put it up on the board, but and then you put out the release echoing that. Your thoughts, what stands out to you about how the Trucking Association feels about what Connecticut did and where Rhode Island stands?
Well, that statement was very telling. It's one that, Chris Spear doesn't mince words and he's a man of conviction. Clearly, as he said, the tide is turning. There's a long, productive history between the trucking industry and EPA and on energy issues, and that's why 60 trucks today emit what one truck did 20 or so years ago. That's from real sustainable progress between the two parties. But it seems all of that gets thrown out the window in favor of what we're trying to do now. It doesn't seem that the accomplishments and the strides we've made matter, and I think that's where Chris is going with that. There doesn't seem to be any debate and discourse anymore. It's a mandate. It's a mandate to cars that we see now is based on the market conditions failing. I haven't seen the other interview, but I look forward to seeing it on the car side. And now you put that when you look at cars, it's not plug and play. We're not plugging Teslas into the $1 million home. We're attempting to plug in our supply chain, into terminals or what have you. So, Chris Spear, his prophecy is correct. Our industry we don't want to be the voice of no. But yep, we do our homework.
But doesn't it seem like, even though they say they want to cooperate with you, and you say you will cooperate with them, that it's really just empty words?
Listen, I've going back to 2021, I met with Dan McKee with a key energy executive about some of our concerns, about what was looming, and his attitude was, hey, kind of dismissive. Hey, it's coming. You get on board with it, take the money, and it's going to be there. And at the time, maybe that was appropriate, but now a week ago, we've called upon Rhode Island DEM several times to discuss with us the funding mechanisms that are woefully inadequate in Rhode Island's version of the Advanced Clean Truck Act. There doesn't seem to be, and I think you're right. There seems to be this. Out front, there seems to be this tone of engagement and debate and compromise, but it really isn't. We just contacted the governor's office per the suggestion of the DEM a week ago. Two key people. I extended the olive branch to ask them if we could come in and talk to them. Let us come in and talk to you about what we know about, and it's crickets. So I don't think I think it's all posturing. I don't think there's, as Chris here alluded to, what we've accomplished doesn't matter, and this is gonna fail. And to his point, Ned Lamont, who I always like to defer.
The Connecticut governor,
Ned Lamont. I don't always like to defer back to tolls, but you remember something. Ned Lamont did his homework on truck tolls, and it didn't pass the test with him, and he applied the brakes on truck
And,
tolls.
and it looks like he did his research here too. He basically
He did his
saw
research
the
here too.
reality of the situation,
Right.
right?
Right, so he did his research here, and Rhode Island should do its diligence